The morning sun rose over the crowded streets of Hong Kong, lighting up the small rooftops where dreams were born and broken every single day. Among those rooftops stood a young boy, barefoot, bruised and hungry, his fists clenched tight, staring at a wall made of old red bricks. That boy's name was Wei, but in his heart, he was already someone else, a warrior who refused to quit. Every day before dawn, Wei climbed to that rooftop, stood before the wall, and punched it, again and again. His knuckles bled, his breath burned, but he never stopped. Each punch wasn't against the wall. It was against doubt, against fear, against every voice that said, "You're too weak. You'll never make it." His father had once told him, "A man who learns to rise after every fall becomes unbreakable." Those words were carved into his soul. But life didn't go easy on him. Wei was poor, often hungry, and constantly laughed at. When he joined a small martial arts school, the other students mocked his torn uniform and worn-out shoes. Yet when they laughed, Wei smiled, because he knew something they didn't. Pain was his teacher. The fire inside the master noticed his determination. One night after training, he walked up to Wei and said, "You've got something others don't, a storm inside you. But if you don't learn control, that storm will destroy you." From that day, Wei trained harder. He practiced balance, grace, and patience. He'd kick until his legs shook, punch until his bones screamed. Every scar became a medal, every failure a lesson, but deep inside, he wanted more. He dreamed of performing in movies, of showing the world what he could do, not for fame, but to prove that even the weakest kid from the narrowest street could rise to greatness. One evening, as he was practicing flips on the dusty rooftop, he misstepped and crashed hard. Pain shot through his back, and for a moment, everything went black. When he opened his eyes, he could barely move. Tears mixed with blood as he whispered, "Maybe they were right. Maybe I can't do this." He lay there for hours until the stars came out. Then, from the silence, a small voice inside him said, "If you can move one finger, you can fight. If you can breathe, you can rise." That night, with shaking arms, Wei pushed himself up. Every muscle screamed in agony, but he got to his feet. Trembling, broken, but standing, he punched the air and shouted, "I'm not done yet!" And from that moment, he was unstoppable. The climb years passed. Wei's skills grew sharper, his body stronger, his mind calmer. He started working as a stuntman, jumping from rooftops, taking real hits, crashing through glass, and laughing through pain. On set, others used wires and doubles. But not Wei. He believed in one rule: if you want to inspire others, show them your truth. Every fall, every injury, every broken bone became part of his story. People started noticing him, not just for his talent, but for his courage. He wasn't the strongest, but he was the most fearless. One day, during a dangerous stunt, a wire snapped. He fell from a 2-story building and landed on his back. The director rushed over, yelling, "Cut! He's dead!" But Wei stood up slowly, grinning through the pain, and said, "Don't cut. I can do it better." The crowd went silent. That moment, that fearless smile through pain, became legendary. The transformation, but even legends have dark nights. Fame came with pressure, success came with loneliness. There were days Wei looked in the mirror and saw only exhaustion. The same broken boy punching that brick wall. He wondered, what am I fighting for now? That's when he remembered his father's words. A man who learns to rise after every fall becomes unbreakable. So he made a choice, not to fight for fame, not to fight for applause, but to fight for those who have fallen and think they can't rise again. He began training new students, kids who came from the same broken streets. He told them, "Don't try to be me, try to be stronger than me. When life hits you, smile, then hit it back harder." He turned every setback into a message, every wound into wisdom. His movies became more than entertainment. They became lessons about persistence, kindness, and laughter through pain. The message one day, a young student asked him, "Master Wei, what's the secret of success?" Wei smiled and said, "There is no secret, just this: never stop moving. Even if you crawl, even if you fall, keep going, because the world doesn't remember how many times you fell. It remembers the moment you stood up." He walked to that old rooftop again, now older, wiser, with silver in his hair. The same brick wall still stood there, cracked from years of punches. He placed his hand on it and whispered, "You didn't break me. You built me." As the sun rose, he smiled, remembering the boy who once thought he was too weak to make it. That boy had become a warrior, not because he never fell, but because he never stopped rising. The legacy years later, when people spoke of Wei, they didn't talk about his stunts or fame. They spoke of his spirit, the fire that refused to die. They said, "He taught us that pain isn't the end, it's the beginning." That laughter can heal wounds. That courage isn't the absence of fear, it's fighting despite it. And that became his true legacy. Not the movies, not the fame, but the message. You don't have to be born strong. You just have to decide, today, right now, that you'll never give up. If you're reading this, maybe you're standing before your own brick wall. Maybe life has hit you so hard you can barely breathe. But listen, your story isn't over. Every scar, every tear, every broken dream is shaping the fighter inside you. Don't stop now, stand up, smile through the pain. Keep moving, because one day you'll look back and say, "That wall didn't stop me. It made me stronger." That's the Jackie Chan spirit. To rise, to laugh, to fight, and to never ever give up.